Hello, RadioCastAoE here, and we're watching Bonzo in red as Byzantines versus ukaf as Mayans in blue. This is Arabia, and it's a ranked 1v1. We are counting down until start. Byzantines versus Mayans. Mayans are probably considered to be stronger in general, but the Byzantine dirt cheap skirms might come in handy against the Mayans, and if you can fend off the plumed archers that way and force the Mayan into eagles, maybe cataphracts. I don't know, they're expensive, so we'll see. These players are in the mid 1300 range, by the way, so intermediate players, I guess you could call them. The two players spawn relatively close. It's one player in the north and one in the south, which makes it a little closer than what it can potentially be if it's a east-west generation. At least that's the way it looks on the map. I believe the map is longer than it is high, so when it's north-south, it's a closer spawn. Bit of a housing there for Bonzo, our red Byzantine player. He used only one villager on each house, which is somewhat strange. Then you get housed for a few seconds unnecessarily, but I guess it's not the end of the world. ukaf is making a mistake of his own. He is putting his sheep too close up to the walls of the town center proper so that the villagers can't surround it properly. Also not the best lumber camp from him. Super critical right now. But that was actually some significant idle time for our Mayan villagers because they couldn't get to the sheep properly. I assume these players are both following each other neck and neck when it comes to villagers. Yeah, they're keeping production up here nicely. We'll see if we have any differences compared to a standard build to begin with here. Bonzo is using the boar lure villager to build a house. He seems to have been practicing that because that gave him a perfect lure. Villagers just finished the sheep as the boar came in, so that was really smooth. It looks like the mine is doing pretty much the same thing. He didn't build a house, but he timed it still, so that the boar came in at quite the perfect time. After the boar lure, we have both players going to mill, and they're still perfectly equal when it comes to population and villager production times. Well, Bonzo is actually 2 seconds ahead, despite him being housed for probably about 2 seconds in the beginning, so he has made up his mistake there and more. He did a strange town bell there. Don't know why. Struggling a little bit to get in the second boar. The timing is not going to be as pretty this time. Villagers idling for maybe 5 seconds before the Border rides, not the biggest deal. I didn't catch the Mayan lure there, how well that was timed, but can't have been too bad. Mayan Eagle Scout is at the Byzantine Town Center, not taking any damage. I don't think the villager is even garrisoned, but we know at least the Mayan has found the Byzantine. Both players on 21 pop now. Both queue another villager, so they'll both go to at least 22 pop. Byzantine is queuing Loom after that, so he is planning on going up on 22 pop, it seems. Might not have the food, actually, because he's... Oh yeah, okay, he got in some berries there, so that was perfect, actually. And going heavily to wood. After that, he currently has 13 on wood on his way up to feudal. And the Mayan is right behind, also queuing feudal age. 7 percentage points behind the Byzantine. They have populations, 22 for the Byzantine, 24 for the Mayan. Part of the reason for that is that the Mayan has started making infantry. He is thinking a men-at-arms play, it seems. He has militia in his barracks. Byzantine scout at the Mayan base, not taking any damage, but sees at least the berries from the Mayan player. No militia from the Byzantine. Maybe he will go the glorious Byzantine skirm and spear spam. That would be beautiful. And there, both players are in feudal age. We see men-at-arms upgrade from the Mayan player, and 3 militia on the way out across the map. Both players queuing villagers, and there is the first spear from the Byzantine player. Now, obviously the spear is kind of just a filling unit, because you can spam them out so quickly, but do you really want to build spearmen against the Mesociv that is guaranteed not to bring cavalry? I don't know. Might not be the best thing, actually. These men-at-arms pretty much do whatever they want here now, as long as they don't get too close to the TC. And they currently chased all the Byzantine villagers away from the berries. So it's Eagle Scout and 3 men-at-arms chasing villagers around inside the Byzantine base. Byzantine player was not walled at all. Well, some house walls to close off some of the entrances, but most of the base was completely open. No kills so far, but quite a lot of movement of villagers from those berries, so that's not optimal. Byzantine player sitting on a lot of wood right now, and not really the food that he would probably want. Okay, sending out some scouts from the stable. Byzantine player does, trying to deal with the men-at-arms. The men-at-arms are strong, but they do, well, yeah, they do get, do they get cleared? They do, but at a quite steep price for the Byzantine. And he's taking some unnecessary hits on the scout there from a Mayan spear. And now we have an archer out for the Mayan player. Quite a few spearmen also for the mine. So spears and archers is the main composition for the mine right now. The Byzantine keeps sending out scouts. He also has a couple of spears. Score is relatively close. It's about 100 points difference. Populations quite in favor of the Mayan. He is on 39 pop, 31 villagers. Byzantine on 29, 10 less population, 25 villagers, so 6 less villagers. And the Mayan army is definitely superior. 10-4 right now in military count, favor the Mayan. If we look at eco, well, none of the players are close to Castle Age just yet. They focus on villagers, building up their forces, and picking up military upgrades. Double bid axe also coming in for the mine here, so he's thinking both military and economy. The combo spears archers is not, well, the combo spear archer eagle is not very easy to deal with for the Byzantine player, if there are enough eagles. But that eagle is actually really weak, only on 10 out of 50 HP. So some skirms would probably do well here. How many skirms? I assume this range has skirms in it. Only 3 so far from the Byzantine player. That's probably not quite enough. I have not paid sufficient attention to know if the Byzantine player has armor and fletching for those skirms. 4 skirms at this point. Ooh, the Mayan is walking his army under the TC. Diving under TC with archers is a bit questionable. He does get some villager kill. No, well, does he get any kills? 1 villager goes down. Loses 4 archers for 1 Byzantine villager. That's definitely not a good trade. And now his army is caught inside the Byzantine town, being chopped to pieces by the Byzantine skirmishers. This is actually not very good for the Mayan player. That dive into the Byzantine base, quite questionable. We'll see though how the economies look. The Byzantine player has spent a lot of food on these skirmishers, so he might be, well, he isn't close to Castle Age, but neither is the Mayan. 300 food and essentially no gold in the bank for the Mayan player. And the Byzantine player is just completely bottomed out resource-wise, using everything to fend off the Mayan attack here. It currently has about 8 skirms, and has gotten some juicy kills on these archers that the Mayan has tried to mass. So at the moment, this looks pretty good for the Byzantine player, actually. About 70 points between the two players. Populations 55 to 47, still favoring the Mayan, but the entire population of the Mayan player is, or sorry, the entire army of the Mayan player is archers, which are quite vulnerable to these skirms. Mayan is trying to micro against the skirms. It's halfway decent, but the armor and HP of the, or not so much the HP, but the armor of the skirms just makes it so difficult to take favorable fights. Actually sending villagers out to fight these skirms, that might actually not be such a bad idea. Or Is that not what's happening? Yeah, that is what's happening. The Mayan player is sending 5 villagers out to try to fend off the skirms. Kind of a strange thing to do. You would think it would be better to just not engage the skirms with the archers and wait instead of idling 5 villagers to just walk around. They didn't even get the skirms. The skirms getting away, so the 2 armies disengage, and we have the Mayan player on his way to Castle Age. Behind this, keeps making archers. So if those archers become crossbow significantly before the Byzantine skirms can become elite, then it might be possible for the Mayan player to take some good fights. Populations 50 to 57, 49 to 57, so fairly close. Villagers 35 to 41. Byzantine player currently housed, and he has not clicked up to Castle Age, while the Mayan is in Castle Age in this very moment. What does he do in Castle Age? Yeah, as expected, crossbow, bodkin, getting an eagle. Good choice to put some pressure on the skirms. The economy is definitely set up for archers, lots on gold. 2 quite efficient lumber camps working away for the Mayan player. Byzantine, on the other hand, puts down a watchtower on his gold, probably smart, or gold/farms. He knows the crossbows will soon arrive. Indeed, the crossbows are on their way, and very soon the resources will be in for the Byzantine player for Castle Age. He can click now if he so desires, and there he does. So quite late compared to the Mayan, and here 20 Mayan archers, or rather crossbows, arrive at the Byzantine base. Makes short work of these skirmishers that are trying to hold the entrance into the Byzantine base. This looks quite grim for the Byzantine player. Archers do walk into that watchtower that was just built, though, but they back out, and well, now they walk into a group of skirmishers, and even though the crossbows do one-shot the skirmishers, yeah, this is quite all right, actually. Losing 2 crossbows to 5 skirms, and the skirms try to get away, but they're being chased by 2 eagles. Another reinforcement group of archers arrive, so that brings it up to a total of 25 crossbows, putting pressure on the Byzantine base right now, and a forward siege workshop has come out for the Mayan, close to the Byzantine base, and the mangonel is now rolling towards the Byzantine base. Now villagers 35 to 49 favor the Mayan. This looks not so good. Byzantine player does reach Castle Age there, but looking at, well, resources are pretty healthy actually, and he can even afford a castle. So he puts down the foundations for a castle in kind of the front of his base. We'll see if that castle goes up. If the Mayan player doesn't see it, well, yeah, his archers actually already auto-target the castle. So he does see it, and he moves his crossbows in for the kill on the villagers building the castle. Seems the whole foundation for the castle is within range of archers or crossbows, so I doubt this castle will go up, at least not without terrible losses in villagers. Production buildings for the Byzantine goes down from the fire from 2 mangonels. Stable is soon down. castle is at 60%. Now, these crossbows are trying to deny the castle. They are actually taking fire from that watchtower I mentioned earlier whilst doing so. So they are suffering quite badly, actually, from that tower fire. And the castle does go up after a very heroic effort from these villagers, taking some terrible losses as well. And the population is now 35 for the Byzantine, 84 for the Mayan villagers, 36 to 55. Counter castle is coming up from the Mayan very aggressively, right at the front of the Byzantine base. It wouldn't surprise me if the Mayan will just try to keep the pressure up and try to get to Imperial Age for Trebs. He should know that the Byzantine economy is really weak and it shouldn't be too hard for the Mayan to comfortably get to Imperial Age first. Or there are, of course, alternatives. You could also do a ram push. The Mayan can pretty much do whatever he wants at this point. Keeps putting pressure on the Byzantine production buildings with these mangonels. 4 of them at this point. He's moving a bit close to the castle. Yeah, it takes... He's lucky there. The castle targets 2 different units. So now 2 Mayan mangonels are really low on HP, but none of them died, so they can be repaired. Score about 4,000 for the Mayan, 3,000 for the Byzantine. No expansions going on beyond the starting base areas. This is quite a linear game. Direct push from the Mayan into the Byzantine base, and the Byzantine is trying to hold. And there we are, Mayan on his way to Imperial Age. He intends to trap down the Byzantine castle and end the game that way, and the way it stands right now, I don't quite see how the Byzantine is going to manage to stop that. No relics taken here. Like I said, these players aren't really... well, the Mayan player is not really spreading out laterally on the map here. It's a direct route straight to the enemy base, and the Byzantine player doesn't really have the luxury of doing so. When it comes to town centers, the Mayan is still on 1 TCs. This is a 1 TC push. The Byzantine player is on 3 TCs, so he should be able to boom back up if he's allowed to fairly quickly, but we'll see if he is allowed to. He is in fact going cataphracts as his unit of choice here, which is of course a super cool unit, but it's not the best when it comes to facing down archers, lacking quite in the pierce armor. Only 1 base pierce armor. He has 1+2 from upgrades, but it's nothing like a paladin. Well, this is a base cataphract though, not elite, so I guess it's more comparable to a knight. But even the knight has 2 pierce armor base, right? Isn't that right? Yeah, 2-2. So that is actually quite significant. When you face down a big group of archers, then just 1 extra pierce armor is quite significant. The cataphracts actually ride to the Mayan base, trying to put some pressure on, but they are unable to get through the palisade there. The Mayan player sees what's up, and house walls behind the palisades. The Treb is out there, and both mangonels and Trebs move in at the same time, attacking the Byzantine lines. Byzantine player goes 2 for 1 with a mangonel, but I don't think that'll be enough to stop this Mayan tide. Mayan has Arbalisteers at this point. No bracer yet, but that is perhaps on the way. No, not quite yet. Oh yes, there's bracer. So these Arbalists will be very deadly. The Cataphracts still running around being annoying in the rear area of the Mayan base, but here the lack of pierce armor shows. Taking some fire from a TC, and that is quite destructive for Cataphract. And there's only 6 of these Cataphracts, so not really able to do much more than some simple raiding. Whilst at the front of the Byzantine base, we have 26 Arbalists supported by Trebs and Mangonels pushing pretty much undefended base. This looks quite GG to me, at least, but the Byzantine seems to disagree. There are Cataphracts in the middle of the Mayan base, but they are being fended off with arrow fire from TC and castle that the Mayan player has built in this base. It seems the Byzantine player is hoping he can do something with mangonels. I think a siege workshop is the only production building he has left. But these Arbalists with Racer, their range is just too good. They can pick mangonels before the mangonel can even get a shot off. And now the Arbalists just spread out in the Byzantine base and kill all. One TC has already gone down, the second is being besieged by Trebs. I don't know exactly why the Byzantine player has not called this yet. This is complete destruction of everything he has by Trebs and Arbalisteers. It's quite desperately trying to put up a couple of ranges in the back. I guess he sees only Arbalists and thinks that skirms is the answer. Score is about 1-2, 7,000 for the Mayan player, 3.6k for the Byzantine. The last TC is going down. Fire from 3 Trebs. This is probably the last stand here. 10 skirms going up against 24 Arbalists. It's not going to be a good fight for the Arbalists. They're going to take damage. Well, Micro is... yeah. Micro is not the best from either player. It's pretty much just a shootout, and the numbers of Arbalists decides that engagement. Yeah, these Arbalists clearing out the few skirmishers that are left. And the game is over. Quite solid performance from the Mayan player. The Byzantine seemed a little bit defensive, and the initial choice of units kind of questionable. Spears against Mesosiv. I don't know about that. Let's have a look at the achievements. Start with Society. Villager High, 75 for the Mayan player, 68 for the Byzantine. So you can't really see the big difference there. Rather, we should probably go to Economy. Well, more food for the Byzantine, but significantly more wood and gold for the Mayan. Makes sense. That pays for trebs and archers. And this is probably the stat that best explains this game. Largest army, 46 for the Mayan player, 16 for the Byzantine. KD, 115 to 75, favoring the Mayan player. Final score, 7.6k to 3.3k. GG, well played.